But coming out of spring football, I've got two teams that I would buy stock in the Big 12, two teams I would sell right now. And a lot of this is just relative based on the odds to win the conference. So let me pull it up. The Big 12 conference championship odds here for 2025. K-State and Arizona State are your co-favorites, plus 550. Then you've got BYU and Baylor at plus 700. Kansas at plus 750. Texas Tech plus 950. There's some good value there if you believe in this Texas Tech portal thing. Iowa State, Utah plus 1,200. Colorado, TCU plus 1,600. Then you got Oklahoma State, West Virginia, Cincinnati, UCF, Houston, Arizona, rounding it out. So just a brief, quick overview for you there. Based on that, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to save the buys for last. We'll go with the sells first because I think the biggest jaw drop moment of this entire segment is going to be one of the teams that I am buying. But if we're going to sell here, and this first one is probably a bad example based on the odds because they don't have great odds. FanDuel seems to be like kind of in line with what I would think on this team and probably what a lot of people would think on this team. But Colorado, so they're plus 1,600 to win the league. So not great odds here. And they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th. They have the 9th best odds to win the Big 12 next season. But I do think, it's a pretty safe bet that they will be taking a step back this year. This is not Coach Prime hate. People will confuse it for that. I'm sure in the comments, someone in, Coach Prime circle, Colorado fans will get upset by it. It is not that. This is in fact a compliment to Shedeur Sanders because I think he was a superhero for that team. And I think he masked so many of those problems on the offensive line. And with him being gone, Caden Salter's a good quarterback. He's certainly athletic. He can make some plays. Juju Lewis is going to have a very bright future. Whether or not it starts next year, we'll see. But I just don't think that you recover losing Shedeur Sanders and what he was able to do for that team in just 1 year. I can't see that happening. And because of that, I think you're going to have a drop off. Plus, if you're looking through what they did in the portal, they did take in 17 transfers, but only one qualifies as technically a blue chip transfer. So maybe the roster has developed more depth. I could definitely see that happening. We saw some real steps in terms of just like building a legit program last year out of Colorado, but I don't think that it's going to be enough to catch up to the loss of Shedeur Sanders and what he was. So for that reason, I do think Colorado takes a step back. I would sell some stock there, even though maybe you would turn around and say, hey, John, I would buy stock at Colorado 9th in the conference. Look, Arizona State is the other one, and they're plus 600, right? They are up near the top in terms of Big 12 odds. They're plus 550, actually, my fault, tied with K-State there in the top odds to win the Big 12 next year. This is just all based on the fact that if we're going on the premise that the Big 12 is this wild, topsy-turvy conference where everybody is so similar to everybody else, right? There's just not much variance in what these teams are working with. Then you shouldn't expect the champ to repeat. And that means a drop-off right there. That would be the main reason for it. And I am kind of playing those odds. The Big 12 is completely flipped on its head from what the preseason expectations were last year, with BYU and Arizona State playing a huge role in the Big 12 title race. Arizona State winning the Big 12 title after being picked dead last. I'm not saying go buy the stock of the team picked dead last necessarily, which would be Arizona here, according to what I'm looking at. I'm not saying to do that, but I am saying I would doubt that we have a repeat just based on the environment of this conference right now. The other reason is, look, I love Kenny Dillingham. I love Sam Leavitt. Think he's a great quarterback. There's a lot to work with there. He's got his best receiver coming back, who is also a phenomenal talent. But Cam Scadaboo was 38% of that team, 38% of that team's offense, and like 110% of that team's heart. Maybe that's not fair to Leavitt. Leavitt had a good chunk of that. We'll say like 90% of that team's heart. Losing that guy that will be a challenge. That is a transcendent, special player. Texas game, perfect encapsulation of that, where he's doing it with his legs, his hands, catching the ball out of the backfield, and then even his arm, right? Guy did everything. left it all out there, literally is like puking on the field out of exhaustion. That's not somebody that you lose and just replace. That will be a difficult thing for Arizona State to do. For that reason, I think those will be two candidates and some stock that I might sell. Now, as far as who I'm buying, okay, this one is based almost purely on the odds. Whereas, Colorado, I had to admit I was going a little bit off script there because I'm saying a lot of this about the odds. That wasn't necessarily. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Seventh best odds, tied for seventh best odds in the league. Iowa State at plus 1,200. Surprising to me. I'd buy some stock in Iowa State. I mean, look, they made the Big 12 championship last year. They shattered that 9-win ceiling that they had as a program for their entire history. And they're bringing back the most important part of the whole team, the quarterback in Rocco Becht. So Rocco Becht, third-year starter. He's got some talented backs returning, right? I mean, Abu Sama, Carson Hansen, guys that are going to be back there around him. You know that they're going to have a good defense. I mean, it's one of those things you can pencil in. John Heacock is going to put together a very stingy defense for Iowa State, I'm sure. You pair a good third-year starting quarterback, what will be a good John Heacock defense. I mean, that's a team that's going to be dangerous enough to, I would think, compete for a Big 12 championship, even if they are replacing Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll, who were phenomenal receivers. But, Chase Sowell from East Carolina, Xavier Townsend from UCF, those were pretty high-profile transfers that Iowa State's bringing in to try and plug and play. No guarantees there. That can be a really difficult task. It definitely can be. But I think Iowa State is somebody I would buy some stock in, especially if you're giving me at plus 1,200 there for what they could do in the Big 12 this year. Big mental hurdle cleared for winning double-digit games last year for sure. And then the last one, I mean, this is where I think people will be a bit surprised, but this would be the team I would go all in on buying a lot of stock in because of how low it is right now, what happened last year. I'm telling you guys, Utah, I would buy some stock in Utah. We give them a lot of crap for a 5-7 season, and they deserve a lot of crap for a 5-7 season after coming into the league with the attitude that they had. But if you're giving me them, look, plus 1,200 actually is a little bit higher than it could be, right? I mean, they've got better odds than Colorado to win the Big 12, but I think people are not talking all that much about them. They're going to have a new quarterback this year, but that's a big part of this. I think high upside with a guy like Devin Dampier. Now, maybe a low floor, but high upside. And what I can tell you is they're going to be in a better situation this year by simply not having to worry about the health of Cam Rising, right? They're not going to have to worry about the health of Cam Rising. And that should help. I mean, nothing against, I feel terrible for Cam Rising, but that was a poor plan last year to put as much into that as they did and only have the true freshman quarterback behind him to try and save the season, in essence. It had been 11 years since Utah had a below 500 season. This is a winning program. This is not something they're going to do again. I think, of course, they're going to take a step forward. Not only do you bring in Devin Dampier, but they brought in his offensive coordinator, so he's going to be quarterbacking with the guy that he worked with last year. They did a good job at running back in the portal, too, to get some ammunition there for him. Wayshawn Parker, Nakari Rogers, a couple of nice transfer pickups in the portal for Utah. And again, the defense thing. Look, Kyle Whittingham knows what he's doing with the defense as a head coach. They clearly trust Morgan Scalley being the head coach in waiting, so they think he can put together a good defense too. That's one thing I would put my money on. Speaking of betting here, right? Put my money on Utah having a pretty salty defense next year. I think they're going to be better at quarterback. They certainly should be more dynamic. We'll see how healthy they wind up being, but they should be more dynamic. I would buy Utah. I would buy Utah stock there for sure next year. So that's what I got.